You're with Destination Uri. I'm Rowan Michael Gilsenan from Lee Optician in Warrenpoint. And Michael's with us in the cause of Africa today. But I was musing earlier, it's so wonderful to see a family business, an independent business of ophthalmic opticians, if I've got the term correctly, doing well and thriving in Warrenpoint. And Crossmaglen as well.
Crossmaglen as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Very busy practice in Crossmaglen.
And the big thing, of course, was we all remember, well, people of a certain vintage remember, MP Lee. Wasn't that it? Michael
right, yeah.
Lee. He passed away a while back.
He passed away probably about 10 years ago, Rowan.
He was an amazing man, wasn't he?
He was a character, yeah.
Yeah, a great gentleman.
A gentleman
very
and
strong man.
Very nice man to work with as well.
Yeah. Did you work with him and for him?
I did work
stage?
with him and for him, yes. Yeah. And whenever I came back from England, he offered me a job,
yes.
And I worked with him for a number of years before he retired.
Yeah.
And I always enjoyed working with him. He was a very dapper man.
He
and
was. I always remember the blazer and the red handkerchief.
That's right. Yeah.
Is that an accurate recollection?
Yes, and he very often would have a flower in his lapel as well. Yeah.
He would have done. He would have done. And you purchased the business from him. Is that the way it worked?
That's right. He offered me a partnership at the start,
yeah.
And then I was with various partners for a number of years, so I'm independent now.
Yeah. Time had come to stand alone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Ah, yes, indeed. But your interests have taken you into the area of the eyesight of young people, children in particular, and you've been working in the schools on that.
Well, I've been actively trying to promote better children's vision care in schools, and not just from the point of view of screening in schools, but from our own profession as well. I feel that an awful lot of children are being missed through not getting their eyes tested, and I think it has a huge impact on their educational development.
Yes, of course.
And it is something that educators, as far as I am concerned, I don't think they understand as well as they should do.
Well, there's an accurate statistic because you were at the heart of creating it and finding it. There's a frightening, in a school that you tested, a frightening number of young people, children, who have serious visual deficiency.
Yeah, one of the schools that I went into was St Clair's Convent Primary School, and out of a class of 27, there were 15 children who needed vision care that hadn't been picked up. And I know I'm going to talk to you about Africa in a minute, but yesterday, as a training day, we were in a school in Trim in County Meath, and we assessed 42 children, and out of those 42 children, half of them needed vision care as well. So everywhere, every school that we go into, every stat that we do at work, it seems to be sort of 50% of children needed better eye care.
You see, that's not something we, as parents, we look after the dental health of our children, but we don't automatically think eye health. As a boy, I was taken to Mrs. out the Belfast Road. Mrs. Gibbons was my ophthalmic optician then. I was taken as a boy to her, and I remember it. And I remember the glasses, and they're here on me. You know, I can see them to this day. But we were cared for in that way, but it's less in focus now. People don't do it as often, parents.
Well, they don't do it as often, and also as well too, research has shown that because of environmental issues, children's eyesight is changing. We're looking at sort of iPhones, iPads. We're using our eyes very much at close work, and children aren't getting out to play as much as they used to, so their eyes they're not focusing on long distance vision as much. So a lot of children that we're seeing, especially in Northern Ireland, a lot of primary school children are long-sighted, much more so than they would have been even 15, 20 years ago. Yeah. And research has shown that, Northern Ireland research has shown that.
You have been, it's like a royal command, but you have been called to Stormont on one or two occasions to discuss these matters with MLAs.
Yes.
Tell me about those things.
Well, been to the Education Committee twice, and we did a presentation on our findings. I suppose the idea would be to get a research project going that would be backed by the education authorities, whether it be the Department of Education or the Education Committee, so that to back up my findings, and so that educators can take more of an interest in vision and the implications that vision can have on a child's development.
Your findings stand alone. At the moment, am I right in thinking there is nothing to substantiate from other sources, that you're the sole practitioner doing this?
Well, if you look at research in America, there are all sorts of different research about particular functions of their eyes and the effect that would have on children. But what I was basically trying to do was to take out children who were underachieving in school and seeing if vision had an impact on those children, and that is what I would like to do the research on.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty confident that that's what
What kind of reception did you get from the policymakers?
I got a very good reception from them. I got a cross-party agreement that a research project should be backed. But I suppose, as you know, everything is very slow nowadays, and you're looking for finance as well.
Yeah.
It's quite a big project to do. But I'm confident that we have been up recently with the University of Ulster, and I'm confident we can secure the funding to do a full research project.
That's huge news, huge news altogether, and it's in the interest of our young people that comes to fruition. But you're not an introspective fellow. As they say in Africa, you're not a fellow of the vision of a fish in a well. And the fish in the well looks up and he can only see the blue sky above, can't see to the left, can't see to the right. But Lee of Warren Point, Michael Gilsenan, you are certainly not the man of the eye of the fish in the well. You see beyond, and you're looking beyond, and that's taking you to Zambia. Tell us about that.
Well, Zambia is, I suppose the interest in Zambia started back when my own son...
Abbey.
The Abbey, yeah.
The immersion project.
That's right.
Well done, Mr. McGovern, sir, and Abbey.
Yeah, so I always had a sort of a keen interest, and strangely enough, I had sort of said to Jack, might be a good thing to see if we could sort of marry in vision into what they were doing. And just coincidentally, we were approached by a lady called Valerie Keneally, who is an optician in Dublin. And she went out to Zambia last year, and she asked us would we go this year. So we have 4 volunteers from work, all going and taking time off from their own holiday to go. So we're visiting the City of Hope orphanage, which is near Lusaka, and we will be assessing, we estimate 800 children.
My goodness.
Yeah. So there are 9 of us going all together. There are 5 from Dublin, 5 either students or optometrists from Dublin, and 4 from our own practice, which is fantastic to get 4 volunteers.
Absolutely,
from
half the number. Half the number.
Yeah.
But I mean, it'll be particularly interesting to make the comparison between the green lands of Africa, unpolluted, so to speak, by modernity. The kind of statistic you come up with there, and compare it with the 50% who need visual treatment at home. That may fascinate you.
There'll be a whole lot of interesting sort of tales to tell. I'm sure the children in Africa maybe are not doing as much close work, and maybe they may not be as long-sighted. But we expect to find a lot of, going from what we heard from last year, we expect to find a lot of malfunctions within the children's vision. And we're doing it with the charity that we're doing it with is an Irish medical charity called Neary Clinics. And Neary Clinics are a group of doctors who started going out to Lusaka a number of years ago. But they realised that the one thing that they couldn't do was eyes. So that's where we have come in. So
of course, the eyes are vulnerable there because of the water supplies and the contamination and things like this, and the ingress of creatures and flies and midges and all the rest of it. So there can be very real physical problems with the eyes.
Yeah.
Will you be able to look at some of that?
We'll be able to look at that. Luckily enough, we're able to link in with an eye hospital in Lusaka. So a lot of the children are not being filtered into them. So at least we will be able to we will be able to link in with them, and we have this ability to refer to them if we need
And they'll
to.
take children that you discover in need of physical intervention as opposed to visual sort of a correction.
Yes.
Yeah. The I suppose it's a wonderful challenge. Yes, of course. But will you physically be bringing spectacles out with you?
We will. Yeah.
We have a little bit of experience in that area.
We have. Yeah.
You helped me before going to Northwest Nigeria.
So, and we were delighted to be able to help you. And we put an appeal out for children's glasses. And I'm happy to say we probably have got about 1,000 pairs that we can bring out. And then also a few of the optical companies have donated frames and lenses which we can make up.
Yeah.
The idea with this project is that it's going to be an ongoing project. And each time we go out, we're going to build up equipment so we can have a clinic that's there permanently, and eventually maybe even equipment that we can actually make the glasses as such. But that's sort of all for the future. But I think this year is, although it's our first year, we intend to go out every year.
That's a big commitment. That's a wonderful commitment.
It's a big commitment. Yeah.
It's almost a calling for you.
Well, it's something that. I think the other three that are going with me are very much into it, and I know Jack is very committed to going sort of on a regular basis as well.
Yeah. Will you see some of the while there, see or meet with some of the Abbey Immersion Project people?
No, I don't think so, because it's in a different part of Zambia. But strangely enough, the nun that we met, now unfortunately I can't remember her name, she was over in Ireland and we met her, and she met even though she's in a different part of Zambia, she was very aware of what the Abbey do where in Livingston, and knew the teachers involved, and so it's a sort of even though it's a big distance, it's a very small world.
It is. Jack, your son, he went with the Immersion Project. Yeah. He went, never having been to Africa before. He came home. What was the tangible difference you saw in your child when he came back?
But certainly, I think he became a much more caring person. I think it had a huge impact on his life. And if I can say, he got an awful lot out of the Abbey as a student. But I could safely say that's probably the best thing that he did in the school in the years that he was there, as the same would apply for the other lads that went there as well. Is
Jack, is he going into the business?
Yeah, he is. He's working with us at the moment, so he's studying hard. I'm
always fascinated because you talk about making up the prescription for the glasses.
Yes.
How physically do you, in layman's language, create the glasses, the lenses? How do you do it? Is it a manufacturing process?
Well, partly manufacturing, but the lenses will come to us semi-finished.
Yes.
So you have, with modern technology, you can cut the lenses into the shape. There's a little sort of computer that traces the shape of the lenses and
for the frame.
And the machine sort of cuts the lens to that reading.
Yeah, and you have a repository of lenses.
Yes.
From 1 to 1,000,000, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you then marry that with the outcome of the test.
Yes, that's right.
Wow, it's good.
And that's what we would like to do in Zambia. Incidentally, you mentioned there whenever you were a child, you went to Mrs. Gibbons.
I did.
Well, Mrs. Gibbons' great-grandchild is now working with us, so it's a sort of a small world.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Isn't that a wonderful thought?
So
Mrs. Gibbons in one of the big houses on the Belfast
That's
Road.
right, yeah.
And you went in there. And that is a great story. I want to wish you well.
Thanks
Of
very
course, I'm proud to know you. I'm proud of what you did with us in northwest Nigeria. You enthused us and you provided glasses. And we brought out 2 big suitcases full of glasses. I was almost arrested by the customs when I was going into Lagos, into Abuja, because there I was. They couldn't understand why anyone would be coming without any personal effects, but 2 cases full of spectacles. Both yourselves and Jerry Fern, God rest him, the prior of the Dominican, he had a big basket on the altar and people came. And but you know, you need so very little to wear in Africa. It's warm and almost what you stand up in, you wash it that night and you have it the next day. But going out with the spectacles, I got some very, very strange looks. But the wonderful thing was, as Paulina, the head nun, she sat down in the school and the children came and tried. The first person that needed glasses was Paulina herself. And she had a pair of glasses that worked, and then the others came along and they were facilitated and got the glasses. It's all good. We wish you well.
Thank you.
God bless
Thanks
you.
very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
You're a good man.
Thank you.